Up and running, and Villa is loud.
Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with your favourite Monday night show, the Aston Villa Fans Forum. And yeah, get involved in the show. We're going to talk a little bit of Wolves. Wolves game yesterday. Kev's going to join me shortly. We're going to talk on our thoughts on the season so far. You know, where we think we can improve, what we think we've done really well, and there's obviously quite a lot of what we've done really well. Get your thoughts and comments in on that as well. A little bit of a focus on the women's team as well. Not had the start that they wanted. What do they need to do, and what are our expectations for them? And then anything else you want to talk about, off-pitch issues, on-pitch issues, injuries. Johan Langer's left today and gone to Tottenham. What is that going to affect us? Monchi's taken on a bigger role. Is that going to, is that better for the club? So all that stuff. Get involved in your thoughts in the comments. Anything you want to discuss, it is open and honest for everyone to get involved in. So please do get involved. And yeah, we'll just leave the floor open to everyone. Quick little plug. Want to make sure we are you are all hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button. We are very, very, very close to 2,500 subscribers, which is just phenomenal. We're at I think 2,478, so I think we need 22 more. So yes, you guys, if you're hitting that like button, that helps spread the word for the channel. And if you haven't done already, please do hit that subscribe button. And it really does help support us and makes us really, really want to do more content for you guys over the coming seasons. So yeah, amazing stuff. Comments coming in already. Michael's in the house. Good evening, Michael. Rachel, hi Rachel, glad to have you on board. Deontay, hello mate, great to have you in. Michael said, "What? What is it that you're referring to?" We'll leave that there. So let us know in the comments. Gary, yeah, fifth is excellent considering our injuries, don't you think? Yeah, absolutely. We'll get involved in all of that. We'll get involved in all of that. Gene, evening, Gene. Great to have you involved. Great to have you on board. So get your comments in. But yeah, I did my quick video yesterday because Kevin and I were at the match at Wolves, and it was great. Really, my first time in the away end at Wolves have been years and years ago when I was maybe 18, 19 in the home end to catch a game at a Wolves game. I remember Adi Akinbaye scoring for Wolves at the time. So that shows you how long ago it was. But yeah, it was good experience. They're trying to big it up as a local derby, but it's not really, is it? It's not really. There's a little bit of rivalry, but not a huge amount. But yeah, lovely day for an October day. The weather was fantastic. Game very scrappy. I thought we started off the game really well. I thought that. And obviously Matty Cash drew a really good save, but then a few tactical tweaks from Wolves, and I thought they kind of stepped onto us in midfield, stopped us from playing, disrupted the game. John McGinn obviously got involved in a few scuffles with Craig Dawson, which was quite comical to see. Yeah, maybe he was lucky not to get more punishment. But yeah, this first half really kind of petered out. Really, neither team did too much in that first half. And then regards to second half, it kind of came to life, and Wolves got that goal. We got done off Douglas Sweet giving it away. Carried on through, scored, and but the best thing was we replied straight away, and then could have really nicked it at the end. Kev's joining me, my partner in crime at the game last night, yesterday afternoon, just talking around. I think both teams. I mean, it was a very scrappy game, Kev, yesterday. We could definitely have won it at the end. But what were your kind of general thoughts on the game in as a whole?
Well, hi everybody. By the way, it's been about 2 weeks since I've done this. Been away, been ill. I take it there hasn't been a massive call for my return, Rich. In the comments, no.
Not today, mate.
No,
yeah, just jump out. I mean, the last time I did it on my own, we had like 70 people watching. We've only got 26 now. I've said everyone's coming, but they're creeping up. We've got more people in the house. Aurelio's in the house. Man with the golden gun is here. Ethan's here. Mark's here. So we're getting there.
Cool. I wasn't sure because you put my name in the tweet earlier. They all went forget that one. Anyway, we'll plow on. I put a tweet out yesterday saying, I mean, obviously, I think we could have nicked it at the end, but considering we've got a terrible record against Wolves generally recently, we were 1-0 down. It's a local derby. I think that it's a really valuable point. And when you look at the last 4 games, for us to get what we've taken from, was it Brighton, Chelsea, Palace, and Wolves, 10 points, I think you've got to say, after the disappointing performance, yes. I don't know if it's Jean or Jean, but thank you very much. Yeah, I love that. After what happened at Liverpool, not long after Newcastle performance, I think we were all a bit disappointed. So for us to return from that with some positivity, I think it's a really, really good thing. And let's be clear. I mean, I was chatting to someone at work today, and we were saying, Man City, basically, when they played Wolves last week, Wolves set up in the same way against them that they did against us. And that's got to be a huge, huge credit to us. So all in all, I think you look at it away at Molineux, I think you look at it as a good point, a point well gained.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I'm just a bit tangled up here. Anglo-Saxon is in the house. Up the Villa, mate. Up the Villa. Martin, I've said hello. Great to have you on board, mate. Yeah, I don't think there was too much to kind of say about it. We could have nicked it right at the end. I mean, the fact that the referee literally blew the whistle the split second after it hit the post. I mean, if that had gone the other side of the post, Kev, I do not know what the away end scenes would have been like.
It would have been, if you thought Leicester last season, we were there with that Bertrand 87th minute winner, but it would have been absolute season, like the 114th minute or something for us to score. It would have been, and I thought it was going to go. You start thinking it's not going to be our day, and then obviously you get one back straight away. But I mean, and to be honest, when I looked at like some of the highlights I saw online, like there was a lot of shots we had blocked that didn't even put on the highlight. I literally, it felt like it was kind of 8-10 yards out, and they were flying in to block them. So I think we created quite a few chances. The other thing which I thought was really good was whenever we've played in recent seasons against 10 men, we've always really struggled. And as soon as I went down to 10 men, we started creating more and more chances. So I think that shows the kind of team that we are now. And look, 5th in the league after having, what have we had? Like more away games than we've had home games? Don't think you can argue with that.
Well, we've got West Ham at home and then Luton at home in the Premier League next. So certainly winnable games. Now, you lead us nice segue into, and we're getting comments about it. Gary mentioned it before. Aurelio Gomez is talking about it there. We're 5th from top. This time last season, we were 5th from bottom. Now, that kind of turnaround is absolutely staggering. Like, there's nothing to be decided in that. And Rachel said the same thing. Videos came up last season of Gerrard and his sacking, and the improvement in the year is absolutely staggering. Yes, Stuart, I agree. Neto was well contained. Yep, absolutely. I thought he didn't get away from us once. Only got away from us once. Sorry, but yeah, that kind of reflection, and we wanted to do that in the main part of the show on that, the reflection of how we've kind of done the start of this season, and to see us sitting in 5th is phenomenal, really. I mean, and also I actually think there's more to come from the team, regardless of the injuries. There's obviously players to come back, which is fantastic, but also in terms of just there's I think there's players who can, that Diaby's maybe dropped off a little bit, maybe he's carrying a little bit of a knock. We talked about Kamara kind of getting into his game. obviously Tielemans we want to see more out of. Ollie Watkins has kind of divided opinion. He started to kind of get back on the goal scoring trail. Pau Torres is improving. Like, you look at the level where we are now in terms of fifth in the table, but the potential that we can get out of these players is frightening.
Well, I like to think, you probably heard me say this a few times in other scenarios lately, but I think it's despite of, not because of. I think we are fifth in the league, despite the fact we've had all these really bad injuries, and we were really afflicted right at the start of the season. Despite the fact we've had, I think, 5 away games and only 3 home games. Despite the fact we've obviously got quite a few new players. Despite the fact that up until last few weeks, Watkins wasn't scoring any goals. Despite all of that, and look, we've played Chelsea away. Maybe that was well timed with the fact that they've started to pick up a bit of form just after we played them. We've got the. I would say you can make an argument that Newcastle away, St James's Park, is probably the most difficult away game in Europe at the moment. I think we saw what happened to PSG, but they're an absolute force at home. And we've played Liverpool away, and we've played Brighton in that as well. So, from my perspective, I just think that when you look at, particularly there's a lot of worry at the start of the season with the injuries. The fact is, look, some of these players, Carlos is basically a new player. He's played quite a few games. Torres is a new player. Diaby, for a new player to the league, particularly attacking player, to have the impact that he's had already, I think is really, really positive. If you actually look at the rest of the team, I think 3 players, I can't believe I'm saying this, by the way, for one of them, but that have been actually a bit maligned in the past in terms of Digne, Cash, and Leon Bailey, have actually probably I know, can you believe it, right? Have probably overperformed. So, when we get, our main left-hand side in terms of Alex Moreno and JJ, I haven't really even played. I believe JJ's played a bit and Alex Moreno's been injured. And this is without our talisman at the back, Tyrone. Obviously without what was our first choice left back. So that whole left side of the defence, basically.
Emi Buendia as well.
Buendia obviously missing. Yeah, but we're also trying out new things, aren't we? We're trying out different formations. So I think we've got to look at it and say, you know what? This is a fantastic, fantastic position to be in. And like you've said, I think we'll only get better from here. So such excitement for the rest of the season. I just hope we win a cup game.
Yeah. Well, I'll go through some of the comments, but I'll come back to you on that. Michael said, I have to say, besides some negativity and big injuries, we've started very well. My only fear is burnout, as many believe we have to go strong every game. Yeah. I can't disagree with you, and that points to that cup issue that you've talked about, Kev. Aurelio, the fact that every team from 5th to 9th drawing this weekend helped. Yeah, those teams, they're all good. The West Hams and Newcastle, they're all really good sides, and Wolves are a good side. Like, there's no denying it. There's other good sides in the league, and they're no mugs. So I do think it was a good result.
Credit as well to Villa, because that phrase that everyone uses now on the transition, basically attacking, counter-attacking. They have been really good. That Cunha, Neto, and Hwang have been great. Look at the problems they caused Man City, the problems they caused Man United. They really absolutely robbed in that game. I thought they'd struggle this season, Wolves, and they still struggle to get the ball in the net. But actually, they're a decent team. They're heading everything out of the back. I think that Lamina is a great player in midfield, really good. Good in midfield. They've lost Nunes. He's obviously arguably their best player. They've lost Neves. They're a good side, Wolves, and we really, other than the goal, and maybe that one when Neto put over the bar, didn't really get caught out too many times. And that's credit to Villa, because after we played, we still played a fairly high line. After we played Newcastle and Liverpool, I was really worried that this weekend that they would cause us a lot more problems than they did. So credit. Another thing as well, Richard, I don't know if you know this, but we've actually scored more goals than the entire top 4. Which is amazing.
I was going to ask you a couple of things. So let me just put a pin in that. Go to, again, just for some of the comments. So Martin says, good time for international break. I agree. Gary said O'Neill was a bit stroppy at the end of that match, and with Emery of all people, what a knob. Steve can't believe you said Bailey. You've complimented him, but we were actually saying he should have been brought on earlier yesterday, because he looked really sharp when he came on, which was great. A lot of nothing at the end of the game. Yeah, it was just a bit funny. Stuart says, nice to see Torres pointing to the badge in celebration. Gary said, good solid performance by everyone, but Power was a bit exposed by pace on the left side, but he's getting better along with Carlos. And then I'll come back to that as well with regards to Ashley Young for cover, because talking about squad and stuff. But first thing I was going to talk about, and relating to your point about the goals, do you think Emery is getting enough credit for the job that he's doing at Villa? Because everything seems to be about De Zerbi, everything seems to be about Eddie Howe. Like no one really gives Emery any credit. And if yes or no, are you happy with that situation? Like in terms of that flying under the radar type thing.
The more that we fly under the radar, it's the same as like I'm gutted for Ezri Konsa that he's not in the England squad, right? For him personally, but I'm delighted for Aston Villa because less games, less opportunity to get injured. I'm gutted for Unai, and it actually does really rankle me a little bit that Villa aren't getting the credit they deserve. But then, the more credit we get, the more likely people are to want to pick our best players off and steal our manager. I'm not saying other clubs don't have scouting departments and they need the media to talk about us to know that. But you get my point. But the more you're in vogue, it does maybe sway some people's minds. You know, I'm not sure how much Todd Beattie knew about Graham Potter other than he was flavour of the month, and therefore let's go for it. But look, I don't know what the recent update on this is, but a week ago, well, to be fair, everyone drew, so I think it probably still is the case that we're probably second in the league in this calendar year. We're pushing on to mid-October, second in the league behind Man City in terms of points gained. I don't know if you talked about this stat on one of the 29 pods I missed, but, in terms of Guardiola's first 31 games and obviously Emery's first 31 games, and I think now it's, I don't know what it would be now in terms of us getting a draw in the 32nd, but for Emery to get the same number of points, 61, that Guardiola did when Guardiola had taken over a team that had won the league, that's at the level they were at. They were playing Champions League. They'd won the league, FA Cup, League Cup, and we were fifth from bottom 3 years after getting promoted, looking like we're relegation certainties, is an absolutely unbelievable achievement. And it isn't getting talked about. We finished 1 point behind Brighton last season, the Darlings. And we were maybe, 12 points behind them when something like that, 10, 12 points behind when Emery took over. We're ahead of Newcastle this calendar year. It's just, It's insane. And it feels also like there's more in the tank. This is the thing I can't understand. I just can't get it.
For whatever reason, there seems to be a little bit of snobbery around praising Villa in the match of the day circles. I think TalkSport gives a bit, but even then it's kind of don't think Sam Matterface for whatever reason doesn't like Villa. There's a couple of Danny Murphy's obviously famously doesn't really like Villa. So there seems to be this snobbery around it, and then the reluctance to give Emery any too much credit off the back of what did or didn't happen at Arsenal, when really Arteta only last season surpassed his kind of win ratio in terms of success, and Emery had the hardest job by trying to replace Wenger. So and also not forgetting that he coached Villarreal to however many Europa League successes, coached PSG. It's not as if he's had just journeyman jobs. He is probably the third best coach in the Premier League.
I think you could argue, you're going to think this is crazy, right? I think you could argue he's the best coach in the Premier League because...
Well, in terms of where he's taking a team from and
exactly.
to and he's keeping them there.
Guardiola is unbelievable, right? But let's be clear.
Yeah.
If me and you did a Steve Gritt, Alan Kirbishley, for those that remember those two at Charlton, we did a management duo. You've obviously got non-league management experience as well, and I can just talk a bit in the dressing room, right? If we were to manage Barcelona with, Xavi, Iniesta, Messi, if we were to manage Bayern Munich with Lewandowski, well, whoever was there at the time, Robben and Muller, if we were to manage Man City, I'm pretty sure we'd do all right, Rich. Clearly, there's loads more to it. He's an unbelievable coach. His players love him. The way he does everything, he's fantastic. But he's managed those three teams. Klopp's obviously managed Dortmund, big club. He had Mainz before that. And then Liverpool, who, again, big club. Now, he's taken them from where they weren't to unbelievable success. But obviously, they spent a lot of money, whatever. Emery's managed Almeria, Villarreal, Sevilla. He managed PSG. They say it didn't work out. He won the league and 2 French Cups. Arsenal. I don't care whether I wouldn't care if it had been Alex Ferguson and Bill Shankly over, basically taking over from Wenger. It was always going to be a massively difficult job in this era. Let's not forget, right, that Wenger didn't get immediate success at Arsenal. Took him, 2-3 years after taking over from Bruce Rioch. Ferguson took him 7 years to win the Premier League. 4 years to win anything. You wouldn't get that in this modern era. Emery's an absolute genius in terms of what he's done. Let's not forget that last season, the only difference in our team really was Alex Moreno. That is an unbelievable coaching job. And
bloody Joe Cole was still saying that. Oh yeah, he built on the foundations that Steven Gerrard created. I mean, look, I wanted Steven Gerrard and I was backing him till the end, but that is Stretch Armstrong level stretching that. I can't believe he come out with that because that's just ridiculous.
I don't mind Joe Cole as a pundit, but that is just lazy punditry.
Terrible.
I mean, like whoever it was said the other day, I can't remember if it was Match of the Day, whatever, that this is the first time Villa have scored more than 5 goals since we played Nottingham Forest in a 5-5 draw. Do you not remember we beat Liverpool 7-2? Has that been eradicated from your mind? Not scored more than 5 goals at home. I don't know what it is with Villa, why we seem to be being unfashionable. There are a few people that like us. I think Simon Jordan likes us. Obviously, he's pretty vocal. Yeah. Obviously, if you get Gabby or Lee Hendry.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, I don't know. It's just like when we beat Brighton 6-1, they spent about 3 minutes on analysis and just went through the goals and talked a little bit about Ollie Watkins. But when Brighton drew 2-2 with Liverpool, like on Match of the Day yesterday, they spent about 6 minutes waxing lyrical about bloody Roberto De Zerbi. And look, I think he's a great coach, but like, we just beat him 6-1 last week. You didn't say De Zerbi did anything wrong last week. You were still saying, oh yeah, well, they got caught out, Villa caught him on an off day. It's like, no, he got totally out-coached by one of the best coaches in the Premier League.
Like he did in May, and like he did in, was it November last year, whatever it was when we beat him away, after being 1-0 down. Our record against Brighton, the Darlings, is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, listen, we haven't got to have a distinction. It's not mutually exclusive for us to say great work, De Zerbi, brilliant job, but also this is incredible. And maybe this is my Villa rose tinted spectacles and my claret tinted spectacles on, shall we say? Maybe we can use that as a phrase when you're being biased to Villa. Our claret tinted spectacles on to say that it felt like they gave us the least analysis time, but it felt like they did. I mean, you beat Brighton 6-1. Why is that not game 1? Should be game 1, shouldn't it? Really, but. Hey, I mean, I don't really want to get into much in terms of the BBC and how their football journalistic standards have gone down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I just think that's shocking, really. And but all we can keep doing is keep doing it. And let's be clear, like you see all those memes and stuff going around, don't they? Like disappear for 6 months and then come back a savage, like get in the gym and eat healthy and be positive and do mental stuff. And it kind of feels like for Villa, we're just doing this thing fairly quietly in the background. And long may it continue. Long may it continue. Because I just, to see those bloody noses, if we can gate crash the top 4, God, I've said it now, right? Or top 5 if it's that this season. If we can win a trophy. It's funny, isn't it? Because I wish I'd been on the pod. Because obviously I'd said the day before the Brighton win, I really want us to spatter someone, remember, on our group?
Yeah.
Obviously we've just seen Newcastle beat Sheffield United at 8-0. And then the next game we beat Brighton 6-1. But, I've got a feeling this season we're going to turn over some big teams. And I'm here for it.
Amazing. Loads of comments coming in. Guys, just a quick one. So close to 2.5K, as I said before. We got over 50 watching. Hit that like button, guys. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. If we could get to 2.5K tonight, that would be unreal. But yeah, with the growth and on the channel has been crazy throughout the whole year and a bit that we've been running, but the last few weeks has just jumped up amazingly. So if we could keep that going, it'd be brilliant. And you guys are the ones that can help us do it. So like, subscribe. If you want to become a member, that would be brilliant as well. Just hit the join button at the bottom. $1.99 a month. CC joined the other day, which is brilliant. So thank you very much, CC. I don't know if she's on tonight, but yeah, we're growing steadily in terms of memberships. Stephen says, poor Emery can't get away from when he was at Arsenal. People need to get over it. He's moved on to bigger things. Adam said, if we do it this season, we'll get the praise. We overperformed last season. A lot to happen yet, of course. Spurs won't win the league, for example. No, I'm sure they won't. But it's, yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. Ange is getting all this bloody, and I do like him. But it's just like, they can't wait. They're just so buzzing for Spurs to do well. So I bet you as soon as Chelsea win a couple of games, it'll be all about how brilliant Poch is. Michael said, the media don't like Villa at all. So I give them all the 2 fingers and hope we're going to smash them all season. Edie, if Emery can get us to where he wants us, I can see him staying around Villa for many years. At least I hope. So do I. Marine Boy, I will ask that question in a minute. Aurelio says, PSG are a shit show. No one's going to win Champions League with them. Absolutely. Absolutely agree. Gary said, we have to win something to be respected again. We have had too many years of mediocrity. Can't disagree. Mark says, FFS. You can guess what that means. Gerald's foundations were made of marshmallow. Yeah, and then
I don't know if it's marshmallow. Marshmallow is quite sticky.
Yeah, they're quite spongy. Yeah,
I think they're made of like Weetabix.
Yeah. Weetabix with the milk poured on it.
Yeah. Absolutely, just sloppy. Yeah.
Marine Boy said, I'm worried that the likes of United and Chelsea would offer him the world. Oh, yeah. I'll ask you that in a minute, Kev. Mark said, even in commentary in the Brighton game, they continued to say how good they were. Nothing about Villa, nothing about Emery. And Stuart said he's happy to keep under the radar. Good. Deontay said the US coverage analysis of Villa and Unai Emery is fair, accurate, and non-biased. I'm so glad to be able to have quality coverage of Villa while living in the US. I have actually seen a few bits of the US coverage, like on Twitter and stuff, and it does seem that way.
And Robbie Mustard.
Yeah. It does seem really that way. Gary said the problem is with Villa. Every time we do get respect, we end up losing and having to start all over again. Yeah, I do, but not anymore. Hopefully, not anymore. No, we'll come to that because I want to ask you that. Aurelio Gomez, Chats and Snacks has become an official Villa Park Pod follower. Fantastic stuff.
Love it. Fantastic
stuff. Thank you very much for that. That is amazing stuff. Welcome to the family. Edie, got to remember Villa have given Emery the run of the mill at Villa. Would he get the same at another club? Dunk said, evening all, good point on the weekend. Great to have you on board. What else have we got? Yeah, Dunk said the MSM have always overlooked Villa. Why the early 80s was the best.
Can I just make a quick point before you go into what you're going to say? Just on Spurs, right? I love Ange. I think he's brilliant. I love how humble he is. I love how like a man of the people he is. And I think, again, same sort of argument, just because, it was unfashionable to do what he did in Japan or Celtic, he still had great success. I think he's a great bloke, and I actually really like Spurs a lot more than they did. But let's be clear, like they've, especially lately, they just about beat 9-man Liverpool. They were 1-0 down to Sheffield United at home until the 98th minute, or something like that. It was something ridiculous in terms of scoring a goal. They just about beat Luton 1-0 the other day. So it's not like they've been unbelievable. And I do think they've got some decent players, but I think we're better than them. I think we are. I think our team's better than their team. So, but credit where credit's due. But also look at what we've had to do. If you look at the season, right, we've played 3 home games, 5 away games. We know we're going to win our home games most of the time now. So if that had been the other way around, let's say you'd not played Newcastle in the game, you'd have played, I don't know, Burnley at home, or whatever, Luton at home, then we're probably 3 points further on. So it's really, really close. But for them to get the adulation they're getting, it's clearly a media darling thing, isn't it, with the history of Spurs, whatever. But they ain't won the bloody European Cup, have they? So have that.
Exactly. So one of the things that might be classed as a slight criticism, and you did hint at it earlier, is the fact that we haven't won. Well, obviously, we got the last-minute goal in the Europa Conference League game last week, but we've been fairly unconvincing in the cup competitions since. And I think that's probably an understatement in terms of fairly unconvincing. Would that be a slight dampener at the moment, or a slight kind of we need to see a little bit more on the back of like the start to the season, Kev, for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think only you can deny that. Now, Emery's been seen as a cup manager, but what would we rather? Would we have rather have beat Legia Warsaw away, beat Everton at home in the Carabao Cup, but be 6 points worse off in the league. Now, I don't think it needs to be an either or. Cheers, Michael. What a legend you are. I'll buy Michael a beer one day. Yeah. So, from my perspective, clearly I want success. You know, the last thing we won was that pre-season trophy, wasn't it? The orange trophy or something, you know, and before that it was that one we won in Dubai or wherever it was under Gerrard, you know, the Al something trophy. And then it was the Peace Cup, and then it was the Intertoto Cup. The last proper trophy we won was 1996 Leeds United 3-0 Wembley. So I'm desperate for us to win something, but I think you can't win at the moment, because I think he has to play. If it's a critical cup game, like a quarter-final, I think you got to go strong and then maybe, you know, replace at the end, which is what people call for it. And it was risky the other night, and you were very close to only having 1 point after 2 games in the Conference League. But if we've got this squad of players, I think he's got to trust them. And the only way you're going to get them to start playing better is to play them more. It just is. And if you do stick with the same core of 12, 13 players, whatever, it's not 1981 anymore. You know, you need to do some rotation and do some rests. And it was risky against Zrinski Mostar, and it just about worked out in the end. But I don't know. I'd like to see whatever happens in the FA Cup third round. I mean, the last time we won an FA Cup third round game, I think like the Falkland War had just finished, hadn't it? Like it was just maybe not quite that long, but like it's like 8 or 9 years. It's crazy. I don't think One Direction were even born. Now they've retired. So it's just meant I'd like to see whatever happens. I'd like to see us go strong in the FA Cup. I just would, even if we get Man City away, because I just think that's a trophy I see that Villa could win, and I do think as well the other teams, if they are going to have to prioritise, say, one of their European competitions and they're up for the league, that might be a game that some of them might rest. So, yeah, I'd love to see us lift a proper trophy.
Yeah, I do think the Conference League is still there for us. A couple of other little points relating to this. So Adam said, if we don't get top 5 this season, is this season a failure? Because nobody bar a couple look that convincing. And Gary's asked the question just now. It's related similar. Would fans rather finish 5th or win a cup? It's a cup for him. That will be tough with our fringe players. So yeah. Do you think kind of 5th is realistic for us? And if we don't get it, is that seen as a little bit of a failure? And also kind of that cup question. Okay,
so in terms of the league position, this goes back to that point that I think I say probably, you know, every couple of weeks. It's what's our potential. Yeah. If you know, I always use Gary Neville as an example of this. You know, potential-wise, was Gary Neville a good a football player as Lee Trundle, for example, right? You know, soccer Lee, you know, was always brilliant. I'm not suggesting he didn't work hard, Lee Trundle, but Gary Neville massively outperformed his skill set and ability. Massively. You don't get 85 caps for England, whatever it was, and win 8 Premier Leagues and the like without that. I look at anything and think in life, and I saw a brilliant video online about this the other day. It was one of the motivational guys. You know how much I love David Goggins, right? But he was like, basically, he has this thing where he thinks when he gets to heaven, you know, whether you believe in heaven or not, he's like, there's going to be a list of things about a kind of a bloke on the wall. And if that has been you and you've done all these things in your life, then it's like that's talking about you. But if it's not been you, basically says God's going to turn to you and going, this is what you could have been. This is what you could have done. And it's like, and
a bit like Jim Bowen on
yeah,
Bullseye.
Could have won. I live in Smethwick, and you've got me a speedboat. It was a waste of time. Yeah. Riley Regis, I don't need it. But looking at where the team has come from, look at, you know, a year ago, I've almost forgotten about that now. This team has got the capability to finish high in the league. And more importantly, and that comment said it before, so great comment, is I'm bothered about anybody else in the league. Man City, I think, are good. Liverpool, I think, are good. Arsenal, I think, are good. I think they'll finish ahead of us. Everything else, you know, Newcastle got the Champions League to contend with. They're a really good team, Newcastle. They battered us on day one of the season. Nothing one. And Howe's done an incredible job. I think Spurs are really good.
We'll batter them at Villa Park, though, don't forget, because they never win at Villa Park.
Yeah, and there were some good teams in the league. West Ham are a good team. Brighton are a good team. But the momentum with Aston Villa, the size of the club, you know, we're not owed success. But I do think now, honestly, that if we didn't finish top 5 based on the opportunity that we've got, and I think we have to go hard in January if we're close to it, I would think that was an underperformance. And in terms of the cup question, finish 5th of the cup, if you gave me an option to win the FA Cup or finish 5th, I'd finish 17th to win a trophy. I know it would probably be terrible for us in the future and league forms down, but I'm just that desperate for success. I don't think we will finish 17th, but if it was 5th or cup, it would be cup all day long for me.
Good answer, mate. Good answer. A few comments coming in. I actually, let me just see if I've got this comment from Aurelio first. So yeah, I'm disappointed that Aurelio Gomez is not his real name. I thought it was Aurelio Gomez, and officially Chats and Snacks is your surname.
No. Aurelio Gomez is his first name. Chats is his middle name, and Snacks is his surname.
Steve247 says Spurs have a thin squad, one injury away from Dyer. Oh, well, that's going to be interesting. Yeah, that is really going to be interesting. They've got a good defense at the moment, but as with all teams, we've coped really well with the injuries. But other teams maybe not. Villa first 11 is that better than Spurs first 11? I would have to potentially agree with that.
Yeah, definitely.
Gary says all of the old guard have gone at Villa now. Emery really has keys to the castle now. Absolutely. Adam says, for me, Rach, we need minimum Europa League. Otherwise, we'll end up losing certain players and not progressing. Could be. But obviously, the big ones are signing contracts now. So, yeah. And I do think we'll qualify for Europe. I think we've got the squad to do it. We've got the home form to do it. Like you say, Kev, we pick up wins away from home. It's certainly looking like that way. Some sort of Europe, I think, is needed to keep progressing and keeping our players. I agree. Yeah, Rachel, absolutely. Duncan says Champions League is the priority. Rod's in the house. I just want a decent backup and cup keeper. We are an Emmy injury away from disaster. Take me to my final point around the squad for this season in a second. Marine Boy said, I think it's 6 years since the last FA Cup game win. Bloody hell.
I think it's longer. I think it's 8 years. That was last season what they said. I'm sure. I might be wrong, but
yeah. Adam said, 5th, could we get Champions League? Help us keep players and boost revenue massively.
It's a valid point.
Yeah, everyone's saying that we might lose players. What else have we got? Yeah, Gary said it's always hear what you could have won with Villa. Yeah. So yeah, and a few people, and this leads me to my final question. Is and I think it was Paul Farrell that sort of mentioned it first. He's a bit concerned about the defence. Sometimes we're a little jittery. Caught out again yesterday for Wolves' goal. Much improved the final third. The annoying turnovers are not as bad, but in terms of that defence and the squad depth and injuries, like there's few people saying we're a Watkins injury away. Just a question on that squad depth. Like, how do you feel about that at the moment for us to kind of maintain this level of form?
Yeah, well, look, I've said it like many people that Watkins injury would be absolutely devastating for us because I think what we've got in return isn't consistent enough. And I think we would really struggle if we got another defensive injury. I know Carlos has obviously been injured for a bit of this season as well, but I just think that him being back, being that physical centre half, it is massive. However, is it really? That being said, I'm actually surprised, considering the start, that actually how well Torres has seemed to have adapted. I know he got caught out for the goal, but let's be clear, like Ake was getting burnt by Neto the other day, and Ake is one of the best defenders in the league. And Neto will go past many a person. And Luis gave the ball away a little bit sloppy. He was just a quick one on Luis. I think he probably looked a bit leggy. My favourite player in the team. I think he's an absolute class act. He's my favourite player probably by a long distance in the team, Luis. But I didn't think he was great at the weekend. Gives the ball away and then they're in. And they could do that to any team in the league. So that doesn't really concern me. I think for my point on this, considering what we were like at Anfield and St James's Park, I thought we coped pretty well defensively. I thought, admittedly, it wasn't.
Carlos was strong as well, wasn't he?
Strong, and he looks like he's actually quite mobile, and he's an absolute unit. I thought Longley did well in the other night. Admittedly, the opposition wasn't unable, but he looked good. Torres, I think, looked better than that initial start. And also, let's be clear, a lot of defenders coming to the Premier League aren't thinking they're going to be thrown in straight away. And 20-odd minutes into the game at Newcastle, he's like, here you go, pal. Like, get yourself in the team and see what you got to do. And that'll be difficult for anybody. So, but that being said, I do have some concerns about the squad depth. And I do think when you start bringing in a Chambers or a Dendoncker, then, a Traore, Duran's an absolute baller potentially, but he's still very raw, as we've seen from the last couple of games that he's played. The squad does concern me. I just want it to be in a situation where we stay amongst it now, get to ourselves to December, January time. If we're on the periphery of that top 6, top 4 still looking good in the Conference League, then I'd hope we would maybe go again in January and then maybe add to it. I just want us to be in the conversation.
Yeah, Rachel summed up exactly what you said. I would say, let's see where we are in January, as that will shape what we need Premier League, Europe, and squad-wise. Aurelio says, Emery not given into panic buys, but bet the farm he's planning it. Yeah, absolutely. He'll be definitely planning it already. Dunk says we need 2 in January. So I do think we will. One question was if you could buy one player realistically from one PL team, who would you like? Ethan's gone for Eze or Neto.
Grealish. No,
You
really.
want him back?
I think he's realistic. I mean, I know he did well last season, but I just like
he's coming back from injury, isn't he?
He's wasting his life. He's basically like he's got himself a girlfriend he doesn't fancy, he doesn't like, but she's got a swimming pool and a Range Rover and a house in Greece, so he's just sticking it out. Of course, he's won everything, he's won it all, but I don't know. And maybe actually, just like Spurs are doing well without Kane or a better team, maybe we're a better team without everything going through Grealish. But no, realistically, if I looked at players we could bring in realistically, I think Grealish is semi-realistic, probably not. I think Eze would be a great shout if you're looking at that kind of wide. But I think he's fantastic. Well, I think we probably want people in attacking options. The other one I think would be Ivan Toney.
Yeah, I was just about to say Ivan Toney. Non-realistic could probably be like Son. I've always liked Son.
Yeah,
but I don't think we'd get him.
No,
but he's 31 now. Yeah.
I think defensively we need anybody realistically. I think our midfield's generally pretty good. It's either a wide player or a forward. I think Neto's a good shout as well.
Neto's a great shout.
Yeah,
Neto's a great shout.
Jared Bowen, I don't think he'd leave because obviously his father-in-law's Mr. West Ham and that and all that kind of stuff. But Danny Dyer. But I think he's brilliant, Bowen. I think that when we had a chance to get him a few years back, just go to show Championship to Premier League. Watkins is the same. Eze is the same. But Bowen just gets goals, doesn't he? And he's great.
What about that a 1 year at Forest if he can stay fit?
No, he can piss off. He can. Since I put him in my FPL team, he ain't scored.
Yeah, I knew we'd get FPL in there somewhere.
Yeah, every game he scored for like 7 or 8 games in a row. It's like, when he scored again, I'm going to get him in the team, guaranteed 3 points. He ain't done anything. No, I think that you could argue in terms of a backup striker because we need a good one. He's probably a good shout for that. But if he's playing first team at Forest, then would he do it? I think someone in the points put Mitoma.
Yeah, I'll go through a few. Let's have a few. Let's go through a few. So plans with Monchi are underway, but need flexibility because football isn't linear. Absolutely. Gary says rumours of Nico Williams not going away. I did hear he was signing a new deal though. Grealish back at left wing, says Dunk. Adam says a striker, something different to Watkins when that's not working. I think we're all of that opinion, mate. All of that opinion. Eze says Aurelio. Dewsbury Hall says Ahmed Raza. Dunk says Tony is a good call. Steve 24/7 says Mitoma.
Yeah.
Marine Boy says no to Grealish. Villa have a great team ethic now. I think Ahmed's trying to sign the Leicester team because he said Iheanacho. I wouldn't mind him, but again, backup striker only, and he's not first choice at Leicester at the minute. He's coming off the bench, albeit scoring. But yeah. Bowen signed a 7-year deal.
Probably not.
Marine said another keeper is a must. I don't think it was me that said about James Ward-Prowse. I think it might have been someone else because I've never really rated him, but he's done brilliant at West Ham. To be fair to him, got to give credit where credit's due. But yeah, Duncan said we missed a chance with him. And Michael said I don't think we'll sign more than 2 in January. So yeah, I think there's a fair few players, but I think Monchi will have his scouts out there. Whether we'll sign anyone from the Premier League is another matter. They did really try and get João Felix as well. They really tried to get him, but for whatever reason couldn't. Marine Boys asked a question as well before about do we think that Emery will leave if the right offer comes in from say United or a Chelsea?
So we spoke about this when we did the pod with Tom Colomossi, didn't we, from the Daily Mail Sport. And I remember I made this kind of point. He said, obviously, the big offer comes in, you kind of got to go for it. But as I mentioned on that pod, my view is if you look at when he's gone to the big clubs, didn't get afforded the time that he probably needs to put his stamp on something. And I think the immediacy of success needed probably at a Chelsea or a Man United. Man United have been a bit more patient in recent years, but you get my point. Is probably greater than he's going to get at Aston Villa. And I think clearly he's an ambitious guy, wants to achieve. And I think if it was a Barcelona or Real Madrid, a big Spanish team, you'd maybe understand he might go for it. But the success he's had in Spain, in terms of Spanish clubs, in terms of what he's won, Champions League semi-finals, Villarreal was, for those that don't know, Villarreal are not a massive club. Right? No. That is an unbelievable performance to do that. To win the Europa League with them, to win 3 with Sevilla is fantastic. And I think he's already had a flirtation with the Premier League before it not worked out. It is the biggest and best league out there. And I think he's got an unbelievable opportunity to create a dynasty at Villa. So I'd be very, very, very surprised if he left now at this point in the project. I would never say never. And if Barca came coming or Real Madrid came coming, but then he could go to Real Madrid. He could get sacked after 6 months if it doesn't work out. And then what happens then? And it's like, do you want to walk away from it? So that might be my heart talking over my head. But I think he's onto such a good thing here. And he's doing so well. It'd be just crazy to walk away.
Yeah, I'll make you right, because I think that part of it is the style of football that he operates. I know we've been scoring lots of goals. That's great, and but we have a fairly rigid way of playing. We play for set moves and things like that. And I think part of that didn't go down well with Arsenal. And I think when you talk about the immediacy of what a Chelsea fan base would demand, or a Tottenham fan base would demand, or a Real Madrid fan base would demand, like you said, I don't think Emery would be afforded the time to kind of set that up, and 2, I think that the fans would be too demanding for what would be classed as entertaining football. Whereas we're getting entertaining football, don't get me wrong, but we're just like this is just completely uncharted territory. We're a massive club, whatever, big club, traditional club, but we're kind of on the road up, and it's almost like right manager, right time, and right kind of profile of club as well.
Yeah,
like I say, I kind of make you right.
AKA John Smith, Chats and Snacks said, we've said this about Jack Grealish. The difference maybe Grealish is he'd been Villa since he was 6 years old, and he wanted to win trophies. It's not like he went to Man United and then spent a couple of years, didn't work out, and so I do think there's a bit of a difference there. Yeah.
Nice. Well, look, I think we're really happy with where we are. We have to be really happy with where we are. A couple of maybe concerns around squad depth and 1 or 2 players who kind of coming through and settling in, and then the cup competition. We want to see us making sure that we're just cementing that. But I mean, just a phenomenal start, phenomenal year for Villa so far. It's just fantastic. So yeah, all in all, really good. Couple of other questions. Actually, before we do that, we've got 70 people watching, which the numbers have just gone up and up and up as we've gone on with the show, which is amazing. I know I've flashed up the subscription and the like graphic, but please, guys, please do hit that like button, and please do hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. We are very, very close to 2,500 subscribers, which will be just phenomenal to hit that over the international break. May even set up a little competition. You never know, if we can. And if you do want to become a member, such as Aurelio Gomez has done today, then you can just click the $sign or click the join sign, and follow the instructions. It's just $1.99 a month, less than a third of the cost of a pint, to become an official Villa Park Pod follower. So one of the questions we had was around, let's go women's team. So Gary has put, think Carla Ward will go next in terms of managers in the WSL. I don't know I'm not sure if anyone's been sacked yet, but Villa have been poor so far in the WSL. I didn't watch the game yesterday, I have to say. I saw the goals, but we chatted today, and I did think that they signed a decent goalkeeper, and they managed to keep hold of Rachel Daly, but I don't know if any of the signings have been particularly inspiring. and a lot of the other teams have really improved across the back end, like across the pre-season. Is it going to potentially be a season of struggle for Villa women this season?
I think it's just too early to say. I think it is. I mean, Man United is a tough game for anyone in that league. They've been one of the top teams forever. I don't think we were as bad as some said. We were in that first game. We were robbed an absolute clear penalty in my eyes. I don't know if you've ever seen it, the challenge on Rachel Daly. Like, she just wipes her out, saying that she clipped the ball, but she wipes Rachel Daly out. And to then, go down to 10 men. Sorry, 10 women. I guess you're saying 10 men. 10 players. 10 players, check yourself, Kev. And then to score, and then look, you're against Man United, they're going to get back into it. Liverpool, I think Liverpool beat Arsenal in the first game. So, no, they've not been one of the bigger teams in recent years, but obviously started the season well, and they beat us. It's 2 games. It's 2 games. It's too early.
My only issue is they've got Arsenal away on Sunday. Then they've got Tottenham at home the following Saturday on the 21st. And then they've got Chelsea at home on the 4th of November. Now, they could end up losing all those games, and that would be like no wins in 5. It's a difficult one, but like you say, there's a few players that need to settle in. Kenza Darley's injured at the moment, so yeah, it's difficult.
Carla Ward's done a really good job with that team.
She has done a great job. Great job.
Games last season. We were unlucky in the FA Cup semi. I think she signed an extension in January. And I know, like, in football now, that doesn't mean anything, almost a year later. But I think she deserves to be given a bit of time. So, yeah.
She signed a new deal last season, Rachel. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Rod does think there's better managers, coaches out there. Maybe one of the coaches from the Spanish women's side. I don't think the head coach should be getting any jobs. He's just left. Fortunately, Rachel said Liverpool could be Villa from last season. I do believe Villa women will struggle this season. Injuries and suspensions haven't helped. Yeah, a few injuries, and yeah, Michael just emphasising the fact that we're really missing Kenza Darley in midfield. Like to see us play with a little more confidence and on the front foot. Maybe she just needs to get the balance right with the front players. I just feel like obviously Daly scores lots of goals, but she hasn't really been able to get involved in the game as much, not been able to get involved in the play as much, and maybe we're just not kind of in that midfield area, kind of having enough ball or just having enough control of the game. Like I felt the first game we were in it, we were kind of holding on, but we were really sort of struggling to get any quality possession. And I get the impression that was a similar case yesterday. Although I don't know if you saw it, you may have commented on it, but Jordan Nobbs had a cross that came across to her, and she hit the shot, and the girl, like literally, the woman on the line just headed it over. Like beat the keeper, and there's a Liverpool player on the line, and just hit her head and went over. So that would have been an equaliser. So they've been unlucky.
Away at Anfield, the stats of the game: Villa had 58% possession. They had 13 shots to Liverpool's 11. Obviously, they were the away team. So I think the stats were decent. And look, it's 2 games. I think if Villa had a tough next 3 games, and we were 2 games into the season, in the first game we'd lost to, I don't know, Arsenal, and in the second game we'd lost to a resurgent, I don't know, pick another team that had been maybe mid-table last year. You would say
Palace or
someone, yeah. Like, you wouldn't say it's like questioning Dino, but obviously we do need to start to pick up a bit of form. Definitely.
Yeah. Gary thinks there's too many 30-something in there now. Maybe could be a point. Could be a good point. A couple more questions. Let's have a look at this. Steve says, will Moreno be back after the break? Do we know?
Not sure.
I think he should be. I think he should be back before Ramsey's back. So yeah. And then Johan Langer gone. It's gone to Tottenham as technical director. Any kind of thoughts on that, or
maybe wanted to live in London? I mean, I saw him at my lad's football game, like in say Birmingham. maybe he wanted to not be hanging around like, Rubery area, Whiffle area. He wants to get himself to the big smoke. Look, we have to be thankful for obviously the work he's done at the club, because he's been a big part of obviously what we've done as a team. But I think with Chris Heck coming in and obviously his role slightly changed, it's not a massive surprise. So good luck to him. Cheers for what you did, Johan. And onwards and upwards. Villa have made a replacement, haven't they, already?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the
Matthew
specifics.
Kidston.
Yeah, he's going to report into Monchi, though, isn't he? Monchi's had an extended role. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Well, we'll see. I think there's a few bits to do off the pitch in terms of like realigning stuff with on the pitch, but hopefully they're getting the structure correct.
Yeah.
And I've got two more questions. One will be quite humorous, but Michael wanted to ask around this: Do we as fans need to talk about naming rights of Villa Park? It can be used towards lower ticket prices.
So this is obviously a very contentious issue, and people get a bit, emotional about the tie to the club, right? I don't give two hoots if we called the ground the home bargain stadium, if it meant we could get better players. I don't care. If you could put the Poundland Stadium outside my house, if it meant that you pay my mortgage for me every month, I'd take it. So I think we get too wedded to it, because let's be clear, if it is called maybe not that, but it's called the
Emirates Villa Park.
The Emirates Villa Park. What are we all going to call it? Villa Park. Where are we off to today? Villa Park. But what's the problem with just having a name? Like, if I haven't got a single tattoo, right? If someone said to me, have a tattoo and I'll give you shed loads of cash, I go, all right, where am I having a tattoo? Not on my face. I think we get too wedded to that. Now,
too pretty, Kev. Too pretty.
Stop that. I wish it was. So I obviously want us to do it without renaming Villa Park, because I would like to keep the integrity and the history of the club. And it's a nice thing to say, but I don't know. Has it affected Arsenal? Has it affected like other teams that have done it? So I think we're too wedded to that. And if it was a clear thing that meant with our revenues would increase and we could get better contracts and better players and do other things for the club, then I'm all over it, basically.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think, especially if we were developing the ground and it's going to have this, warehouse, there's going to be a new bar and the North Stand's getting done out, it's going to be 52,000 or whatever it's going to be. Like, that could be a whole rebrand, a whole thing to kind of naming rights of the stadium. You can still have the names of the stands, and then you take it from there. I don't see there being too much of an issue, but yeah, you guys let us know. But I don't have a particular issue with it, like you say, if it means that we're going to continue to keep pushing as a club, because you need to spend 100 million to stand still in this league. So yeah. Final question, Kev. Final question. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's been some goings on at a certain club down the road from us. A certain club in Small Heath.
What's happened?
Seem to be like sacking managers when they're like actually doing well.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Well, do you remember a few years back when Gary Rowett got into the top 6 and they sacked him?
Yeah.
Look, I will say I've been quite impressed by Rudy when I've heard him talk as a manager. And I know like talk is cheap, and I know he hasn't got an amazing win record, but he's clearly a name, and maybe they're looking for a name with the project, and therefore it's not a surprise with that. But to be in the top 6 in the league, to have just beat your local rivals in your league 3-1, I think everyone was waxing lyrical about John Eustace at the start of last season in terms of what he was doing. You can't say he's not doing a good job. And he hasn't got the greatest squad in the league, so they've got Scott Hogan up top, so it's not like it's unbelievable. Gary Gardner even came off the bench and scored the other night. So, listen, it's just nothing surprising me with that club in terms of what they've done in recent times. But I don't know. Rooney's a big name, and if it was going to be a big name, then maybe the opportunity to get him, maybe they're just going, let's go for it. But I don't know, like, your pressure's on, isn't it?
Have they not learned what happened to Villa? Have they not learned by what happened to their big rivals when they got a big name in? Mm-hmm. And getting him in October as well. He can't buy anyone now. I'm sure the players are going to be pretty pissed off at the fact that the manager that they've bought into has gone. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It just seems a bizarre decision. If it was like December and then he had the January window, Like you give them a few weeks to kind of assess the squad, and then go into January and get new players, I could maybe understand it. But right now, it just seems crazy.
Well, it's not just that the local rivals did it. Similar time of the year, they replaced their manager with a Liverpudlian, and didn't work out too well. So
no, but we were we were like 17th in the table. Blues are 6th, and they've just beaten West Brom 3-1.
Well, look what happened to Sheffield Wednesday when they sat Darren Moore.
Yeah.
Look, I think it's really harsh and really unfair. There's a lad I work with who's massive Blues fan, and he's absolutely devastated. Look, again, I think Rooney will probably do a decent job, but big pressure because there's a big expectations at the club now. Obviously, they've got a bit of money. They've got obviously Tom Brady involved. Watch this space.
Yeah. Kev, I think that does us now. I think we'll come back to. There's a couple of questions, but we'll come back to them in the next fans forum. But yeah, great fun, great comments, great questions from you guys in the chat, and great thank you to Aurelio Gomez for becoming a member. Amazing stuff. Thank you so much. Hit the like button on your way out, guys. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Loads of content still to come this week. I've got talking tactics with Gareth coming tomorrow. We've got a little bit, we're hopefully going to do a couple of little slightly different shows like all-time Villa 11 or something like that. We're going to come up with some ideas to keep you guys entertained over the international break, and then before you know it, we'll be previewing West Ham next week, and we'll be back into the thick of it. So make sure you stick with the channel, hit your notifications. Thank you all for watching tonight. It's been a great show, Kev. And as always, everyone, remember, we all follow the Villa. Thanks, everyone.
Up